So much going on in the sports world. We called in the big guns, Derek Piper from IlliniInquirer.com, to help us kind of break everything down. Just first, I just want to get your initial thoughts on what's happened the last 5 days to a week. With there's literally no sports going on.
It's mind-blowing, man. It's tough to wrap your head around, really. And to think a week ago, Illinois versus Iowa at the State Farm Center, a big win, gearing up for a Big Ten tournament run. And I was getting ready to go over to Indianapolis and experience this wild couple of weeks for Illinois. I think they could have made a push at something, second weekend or whatever it may be. But I don't know. I'm speechless. I don't know what I'm going to do the next couple of weeks.
I know. I don't know what our job's going to entail, but we'll both figure out a way to give you guys the sports that you want. You and Jeremy, I'm sure, were both planning on heading to Indianapolis. We were getting ready to go to Indianapolis. So how did that all unfold for you guys and the conversations and kind of when did you realize, all right, this isn't going to happen?
Yeah, I think when you're all watching Wednesday night and you see Fred Hoiberg looks like he's on his deathbed, really. He was struggling. Rudy Gobert news comes out that the NBA is suspended. So we were all expecting at that point, probably not going to play games in Indianapolis. Ended up canceling our hotel for Thursday night. But, I don't know. We were just kind of in wait-and-see mode, and we were planning to cover our first NCAA tournament since we started the website. It's something that we were really excited about. And didn't expect it to all end so abruptly.
Yeah, didn't expect it, but it is the right decision. You can't really blame anybody here for doing what's happened.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that selfishly, and I'm sure some coaches think this as well, is if it would have been postponed instead of canceled and kind of wait and see where we are in 3 weeks to a month. But realistically, this might not be getting better anytime soon. So I think the necessary precautions for sure, and something you can't really argue with.
So no selection show on Sunday. Illinois was going to hear their name picked. You asked Brad about the factor of just hearing their name, how much that would help. So how much does it impact a program when you do so much work and then you're not going to get rewarded this year?
I think it impacts you a lot. It's something that you've been working for throughout the entire season. It's kind of that moment that solidifies what you've done. It's the reward at the end of the long season, and it's going to be weird sitting in November and saying that Illinois is still on a tournament drought. Like, that was a no-doubt tournament team. They were not on the bubble. They had done enough work to get there. So to not even just see their name in a bracket and know that they had made it, I think that's really, really disappointing. And just a moment, it would have been a tease because it would have been something we knew the games aren't going to be played, but it's still part of the experience that is obviously taken away from them.
Yeah, so we're going to talk hypotheticals here now. Where did you see Illinois shaking out in that bracket? I've seen anywhere from a 5 to as low as an 8 or a 9.
I think that they had the upside of a 5 seed if you get to Sunday of the Big Ten tournament, which I think was decently realistic. We would have played Iowa, I think, most likely, a rematch that we were all waiting to see. Wisconsin, a team that you had already beat up at the Kohl Center. So I think Illinois could have gotten to the Big Ten championship game, which if you do that, you're probably a 5 seed or a 6 seed. And that's a dangerous team potentially in March in the NCAA tournament. I think they could have went on a run. It depends on matchups with anybody, but I think that they were well equipped. We didn't get to see Ayo Dosunmu at the March Madness level because you know that he would have been at his very, very best. Matchups with Kofi, their defense, they had a lot of reasons they could have advanced far into the tournament. I think the second weekend is not really going out on a limb as an expectation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they were could have been easily a second weekend team. So like you mentioned, this is likely the end for Ayo Dosunmu. He hasn't said anything about his decision to go pro, but he's accomplished pretty much everything that he wanted to, albeit he's not going to play in the NCAA tournament team, but he got this team back. So are you in the same camp that we've probably seen the last of Ayo, and how do you remember him from his time here at Illinois?
I think we have seen the last of Ayo at Illinois, unfortunate as that sounds. I know that he's very disappointed that didn't get an opportunity to show out on the NCAA tournament. And that was something that when he came back said Illinois needs to dance. And that was really the mission that he set out, and the team really followed suit. How is he going to be remembered? He's going to be a program changer, someone that truly changed the program when he arrived and was able to play at such a high level, all Big Ten first team. I don't know what some of the other coaches were thinking by not voting him that, but just the way he was able to close down games, his late game excellence, the pull-up game, he's a really, really great competitor. I think he'll be remembered as one of the better players that came to Champaign, and I think that he accomplished a lot, still has some to prove as far as his NBA draft stock, but it's hard to sit there and say, man, I wouldn't want him on my team late first round into the early second round.
Yeah, earlier this year, people were talking about how his NBA draft stock had gone down. He wasn't having as good of a year, but I think he was head and shoulders better this year than he was last year. He was a more complete player all around this year and took over games.
Yeah, he really was. You look at the way that he was able to facilitate.
Yeah.
I think that he elevated other players around him. That was one of the knocks on him after his freshman year, but you saw how he operated in the pick and roll, and that's a big part of the NBA game, being able to make decisions, find Kofi on the roll, be able to hit shooters out on the corner. Illinois didn't have a lot of shot makers. He's going to look even better when you got some legit three-point shooters around him. I know that for his game in particular, only shooting about 29% from three, that's something that he needs to work on as he gets towards the next level. But yeah, every part of his game, whether he was stronger, finished better at the rim, and also I think he showed defensively and he could make an impact rebounding-wise. So he was playing at an NBA level, let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody. There are people denying that, but we're not denying that. So we think Io's gone. Do you think anyone else is not here next year that's here right now? Kofi going NBA, any transfers? How do you see the rest of the roster shaking out? I know there's still a lot of hypotheticals here.
Yeah, I think each and every year you got to expect someone is probably going to transfer and try to find an opportunity that is better for them. That just happens everywhere across the country. I don't know who it might be, but I know that Illinois is still looking at different options. Right now they have 3 incoming freshmen. When you think about Andre Curbelo, Coleman Hawkins, Adam Miller hasn't signed yet. We'll have that opportunity in April. I fully expect him to sign. But they're still going to be interested potentially in a transfer or just some other options out there. So you would need some spots to open up, and I think that's the expectation.
What's your thoughts on Kofi? I know he told our Brett Behrens when he went to Mouth of Wilson, Virginia, to talk to him that he wanted to be a one and done. Did he do enough to be a one and done?
I don't think so. Look, every top 50 prospect when they're coming out of high school wants to be a one and done. I think he showed that he is pretty mobile for a guy that's 7 feet and 290 pounds. He moves pretty well. I think coming back another year and continuing to get in better shape, also showing that he can shoot outside of the paint. And there were just some moments throughout his freshman year where he had some struggle. And look, it's a really tough league, a lot of great big guys. But he can show more. One more year working with Adam Fletcher, working with Orlando Antigua would do him wonders, and maybe he has a case, a better one, a year from now.
Yeah, fully agree on that. More recruiting here. NCAA has shut down all trips, no on-campus visits. Coaches can't go out on campus. How does that impact what they're trying to do and how they're trying to build their programs when you can't see these guys in person?
Yeah, everyone's going to be in the same boat. It's something that we're going to have to feel out and see how that really works. And Illinois should be glad that they're in this position where they are this year versus last year, where they didn't have, they still had open spots and they were still trying to recruit and find guys. But as I just mentioned, to have Miller and Curbelo and Hawkins, they're not desperate for somebody. But at the same time, they're still looking at grad transfers, looking potentially into the 2021 class where they've tried to make some headway. So a lot of work on the phones and trying to do some FaceTime. I don't know, you got to get a little bit creative, but at least you're on an even playing field with everybody else. But it does, they've already announced they're suspending AAU throughout the spring. So it's really putting a halt to your efforts trying to get some more talent.
You've been on the recruiting trail covering it for years. How much does the on-campus, how much does getting a player to an official visit and being able to show them all the bells and whistles, how much of a selling point is that for any program?
Well, it means a lot. It'd be hard for someone to say yes to a place without ever having come and visit there and meeting the potential teammates in person, meeting the coaches. So I think it's a big part of the sell. If a player has never been to that particular campus, again, it's happened before where players have committed somewhere that they've never been, but I think for the most part, you would not blame someone for holding out on a decision without having seen their option.
What was your favorite, most impactful moment from this? How are you going to remember this 2020 season?
Oh, man, there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
That says a lot about what Illinois was able to do this year. I think the game at Penn State, where we're sitting there in the pregame broadcast, not knowing if Io's going, not knowing if expecting he's not going to. And he goes out there and he scores 24 points and they beat the number 9 team in the country. And of course, late in the game when you needed a game-winning shot, he was able to step up and do that. Just also looking around the State Farm Center, clearly the buy-in is back for the fan base and what they were able to do, getting that environment back to the upper tier of the Big Ten. It was a tough place for opponents to go in there and play. It was extremely loud, and it was a heck of a ride. The win at Wisconsin, nobody else went into the Kohl Center this year and won except for Illinois. So I think overall it was a return for Illinois basketball. Very exciting. Disappointing they didn't get rewarded with that NCAA tournament, but I think it sets them up to be there each and every March going forward.
All right, Derek, thanks. Maybe we'll have something else to talk about here in the foreseeable future, but until then, thanks.
Hope you don't get bored not watching sports, man, because I don't know what I'm going to do.